Hey guys, Mark with the Dog Trainer here. Today we're going to be doing a quick review of the Midwest Homes for Pets 54-inch model, the extra large. And by 54 inches, they are talking about the distance from the front of the crate to the back of the crate. And this is actually the biggest one that they offer. It's usually going to be for Great Danes or Mastiffs or a lot of those dogs that don't fit into the one size down, the 48-inch model. Now, this particular crate is not necessarily my favorite one to set up because it can be a little bit complicated with all the different pieces, and there's a couple tricks that if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to probably get a little bit confused. So in this video, I'm going to really quickly go over an overview of this crate, and then I'm going to help you guys put it back together, and I'm going to try to walk you through some of the little problematic areas to be aware of when you're putting this together to make it as easy as possible. But now let's just start with, generally speaking, I'm usually going to be recommending the plastic PetMate Sky Kennels for most dogs that I work with. But when it comes to Great Danes and Mastiffs and Newfies and things like that, a lot of times they're not going to fit in any type of plastic crate because the plastic crates, the 48 inches is pretty much the biggest that they come. So for a lot of these bigger breeds, we really don't have a choice. We're just going to be forced to the big, giant, extra large wire crate. Now that kind of leads to my next point is that these particular, most wire crates, the locks are not necessarily that secure. So if we have a dog that is comfortable being in the crate, it's probably going to work fine. But if we have a dog with separation anxiety, these locks tend to be some of the easiest ones for dogs to open up from the inside. If they just kind of paw at it enough, usually they can kind of get it to kind of undo itself. And if they get one or two of those open, they can usually get the whole door open. So wire crates, generally speaking, are just not going to be quite as secure as a plastic crate. So if we're dealing with separation anxiety, the first thing I'm going to think about is there any way that my dog will fit into a smaller model plastic crate? I've got a different video that will go into more depth of my separation anxiety recommendation. But now a lot of times, like I said, if we have a Great Dane, even if they have separation anxiety, we're not going to be able to put them into a smaller plastic crate. So we may end up having to get creative and use like a carabiner or zip ties or something like that to really secure the edges of the doors to make sure that our dog is not able to break out of it. But so yeah, not necessarily the most secure crates in the world, these wire ones. Now, outside of that, we've got our tray down here that slides in and slides out, and that can be really nice. Because again, if our dog, knocks a food bowl over in there or has an accident, instead of crawling in there to clean it up, we can pull the tray out, clean it, and then put it back in. And now another advantage to this particular model is that the tray has got a lock here that stops the tray from getting kicked out. I've used other models in the past that I came home and it didn't have that locking mechanism and they kicked the tray out and kind of ruined the carpet below. So that is one of my favorite features of this particular model. Now, why don't we take this thing apart so I can show you guys how to put it back together. And like I said, we'll go over some of those tricky areas to make sure that you're avoiding to make this as easy as possible. The first thing is you're going to want to make sure you have plenty of space, because as we start adding walls to this and stuff like that, you kind of need to be able to bend and fold things a certain way for things to line up. So the more open space you have, the better. Okay, now we're going to start with the bottom piece here, and you'll know which direction it's supposed to be facing because there's a little latch here on the front, and that's going to be for locking the tray in when it's all said and done from the front. So we'll know that that is going to be the front of the crate, okay? All right, the next piece we have here is going to be the back of the crate. Okay, now this piece here is going to be the front of the crate. And basically we know that because it has the door on it, but this particular model has two different doors. So the door that's on the wider piece, that's actually going to be a door for the side. Okay, so let's put this down here. Okay, so here is the wider door that I was talking about, you can tell that it's quite a bit longer. Okay, so that's going to be one of our side walls. This is going to be our other side wall, and the way that you can tell is that it's the same size as the panel with the door. Okay, and this is going to be the top of the crate, and the main way that we can tell is that it's got all of these bending hooks on the sides that are going to help it kind of latch from one wall to another. Here are the different poles we're going to use to hold this crate together, and I'm going to keep them nearby. Okay, so this is the piece that I was saying we're going to need a little bit of space because we have to latch it very specifically. So the way that we're going to do that, we're actually going to fold this down. Again, we have to be really deliberate that everything is lining up at this point, or it just gets more complicated from there. Okay, now I'm going to lay it completely flat. We're going to fold it up, making sure that that piece stays in there. There we go. And that should help it pop into place. There should be 2 horizontal wires that line up perfectly within this bottom base hook. Okay, where if you put it on upside down, you're not going to be able to get the 2 poles underneath this hook. Okay, so at this point, we've got the 2 walls up. We made sure that the 2 bottom horizontal poles on the wall are cleanly latched underneath the hook of the base. Okay, now we're going to start working on the back here. Okay, and I'm actually going to flip this around. Okay, because we've got these 2 little latches on the side here that are going to help to hold the top on. Okay, so I'm going to lay this flat. Now, like I said, I've put this crate together a few times, so I kind of know the tricks here. Okay, but you have to be very slow and deliberate about each piece, making sure that it's lining up, or you're just going to end up making this more of a headache than it needs to be. Edges here are going to hook in, okay, but on this back piece, they're actually going to be hooking out. Okay, and again, I figured that out because these top latches for the top piece of the crate are actually supposed to be facing towards the middle of the crate. Perfect. Okay, now for the door. Okay, now to make sure the door is facing the right way, obviously the door is going to open out. So that should be your first indication. And I'm going to actually lock it so it's not swinging all over while I'm putting this up. And now again, we're going to have these little kind of latches that are supposed to be pointing towards the inside of the crate. And that's going to help hold the top on once we put the top on. And now again, like I was saying, the sides for the poles, they arc in, but it turns out that the back piece and the front piece, the hooks are actually going to arc out towards the outside of the crate. Okay, now, because the tray is supposed to slide underneath, this front piece is actually going to be elevated a little bit. So we're going to actually put that on top of the first little piece there. Actually, that's going to be too high, so it's going to be right below. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to put this, that. kind of use my foot to prop this up here. Okay, and I might be making this look easier than it is. I can't even tell you how frustrating this was the first few times I put this together, because usually you don't tell that you've done something wrong until you've almost put the entire thing together. Again, just taking my time, making sure that everything lines up. Right, and then again, we should be able to figure out the top piece, which direction it faces down, because again, it has these latches that are supposed to help hold the doors in. And usually we're going to do one side first, and we're going to pull it through. And then we're going to do the other side. Okay, and then from there, we just have these locks on the top. You just do one side at a time. And then you can do the middle. One side at a time. And then we'll pop the middle up top. And then this latch here, like I said at the beginning of the video, is to lock the tray. There we go. And now we have our door from the front or our door from the side. And that is pretty much everything you guys need to know about the Midwest Homes for Pets extra large model. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.